All right, so let's talk about inequality from an entrepreneur's point of view. So what is it right now? We're in the middle of these inequality protests that are going on right now. We are in the middle of the virus that's sweeping across the world. So we have protests sweeping across the world right now. We have the virus that's sweeping across the world. So there's a lot that we're dealing with. At least in America, we have millions and millions of people that are unemployed. And I think, people are angry right now. People are upset. I think, people are talking about inequality from a race perspective, but also from a class perspective as well, because there's been this growing divide between the wealthy versus the poor, right? So the inequality gap is increasing. And so right now it makes a lot of sense. People are angry, people are fed up, and people want to do something about it. So, my take on it is I think it's really nice. It's good. It's a good starting point for people to have these black squares that people are posting on to social media. I think the protests are a good start as well. I think people talking about donating, I think that's a very good start as well. My opinion is it's not enough at the end of the day. I think doing these are a step in the right direction, but if we continue to do things that way, those actions alone are not enough to make a change. I think we can get some reforms that will happen. We see some changes happening for, in some cases, people proposing for the police to be disbanded, which I'm not sure I agree with that, because you have a lot of second and third order consequences as a result. So that meaning, if you decide to disband the police, okay, second order consequence is if someone needs help, if someone is getting robbed, what do? And then third order consequences beyond that, what happens to those people that get robbed, right? What type of actions are they going to take after that? So there's a lot of things that I think there's a lot of thought that needs to be put into the actions that we're taking. So, a lot of the time that we spend putting into protesting, I think that's good, but the same amount of time could also be spent into thinking about things that are longer term as well. So, after we take these short term actions, what else can we do? The reason I have the stance that I have right now is because I fundamentally believe that it is the knowledge that we acquire. There's a lot of people that have been able to come into positions of power, right? And a lot of it comes down to inequality. Comes down to one piece of it is the knowledge gap, right? How much have you been educated? What kind of knowledge have you accessed? What have you read? Who have you met exactly? What kind of access to people do you have, right? So I think that part needs to be level. I think there's a lot more. There's a lot more that goes into this as well. So education is just one piece of it, but I think too many of us, when we think about problems, we often think about solving the symptom, right? So, for example, if we're coughing a little bit, we might take some cough medicine. That really just masks the symptom at the end of the day. What we're really looking for, though, is we're looking to solve the ultimate problem, the underlying problem. So what is the underlying problem right now? Why have we had this inequality for hundreds, thousands of years or so? Why is it that, black people, Latinos, maybe Asians, whatever it is exactly, in the United States, they aren't being treated fairly? It's not equal playing ground, right? There are some advantages, there are some disadvantages, for certain races. Like, that part has to be acknowledged. Now, but at the same time, we've had these protests happen for hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years. And I'm not saying protests aren't helpful, but I think if you want to make a much bigger impact, you have to think about, if you truly want to make as much of an impact as you can, you are able to do that, right? You are able to access the knowledge that you need to get there. That's why my entire mission around leveling up is getting people the knowledge that they need to get to that level, whether it's the free stuff that's available, or there's different levels, right? But you want to make things as accessible as you can to people, because information now is becoming a commodity. You talk about now the colleges right now, they're struggling to even get people to enroll because A, you can't go back to college, but B, people are realizing that you don't really need to go to college unless you're going for the experience, right? We're talking about actually going to school, physical school. So point is here, how do we beyond the protest, beyond the black squares, how do we go to people and how do we say, hey, look, you can go as high as you want up the ladder, right? And you can create the life that you want and you can then make the impact that you want. Because at the end of the day, who are you going to go to make change? You're going to go to politicians. You're going to go to people that are in power, right? And who also works really closely with politicians. You have, influential people, you have wealthy people that are working with these politicians as well. So then now the question is, how do you work with these people, right? You yourself, you have to get to a position of influence. You yourself have to get into a position of power as well. So I just think, look, if you can get that level of information, if you continue to educate yourself, if you can continue to experiment, right, and you can worry about yourself, you will inevitably meet the right people, and you will be able to, you'll meet more and more people, you meet more and more people in positions of power, and you'll be able to run your own agenda, right? Because if you look around the world, a lot of these people, they've gone through struggles in their own ways. Some people have a lot more privilege than others. Some people grew up rich. Some people, everyone has their own circumstances, right? But you, yourself, you can control your own destiny. And that's why I think, if we want to talk about a big step towards inequality, to fighting inequality and, hopefully eliminating it, we have to think about how do we level the playing field by making things accessible to people. And if they decide they want to play the game, if they decide, hey, at least we give them the knowledge to arm them with the rules of engagement. And if they decide, hey, you know what, I want to play this game, and I want to do everything in my power to make as much influence as I can, or influence as many people as I can, right? Because I know the world needs to change. And I think, yes, again, we can come back to protests. I think protests are helpful, but to make the maximum impact that you can in the world, you can definitely do that. Because the way I look at it is, everyone around the world, we're all human beings, right? And we all have our unique skills. We all have our unique capabilities. We're all just different. And there's no reason that, the most influential and most successful people out there, they got up to that point, and there's no reason you can't do that either, right? So I just think we have to think about the long term. I think those of you that right now that are, you're part of the protest, you're on social, you're campaigning for this, I think that's great. I think it's a good start. But the question really that I have for you is, do you want to make more of an impact? And I think most of you do. And for those of you that want to make more of an impact, then you got to think about, how do I take my life into my own control? How do I climb the wealth ladder, right? How do I get stronger and stronger on my own? How do I learn? How do I meet people? How do I get better at business? How do I make mistakes? How can I have side projects? If I'm working a full-time job, how can I have side projects that are, creating additional income, so I'm learning more, and then I'm creating more opportunities, I'm creating jobs for people, and then because I'm creating jobs for people, then I can take that money, I can parlay it into, into other business ventures, or I can use it to, start a foundation or donate more money, whatever you want exactly. But you're going to have more and more responsibilities. You're going to have more and more power. You're going to learn more and more. You get stronger and stronger and stronger. And then you can make more of an impact. Then you can help the world. Then it comes back down to, you're going to get so powerful to the point that you're going to pay it forward. And then you're going to help level other people up as well, right? So the way I look at it right now, I just turned 34 years old a couple of days ago. But I still feel like I'm really starting my journey. And I think it's really important for me. I really haven't taken a lot of stances on these types of things. I think now's the time to take a stance, and not everyone's going to agree with me, but I do think, again, I think it's a good step to do these other things, such as protests, and definitely petition, definitely go out there and vote. But if you want to make maximum impact, you put your head down. You get the knowledge that you need, and put your head down, you worry about yourself, you work as hard as you can, and then you can make as much of an impact as you want. And if you don't want to do that, that's totally fine. You can decide to stay at whatever level you want to be at, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just think for the people that are saying, oh, I'm not able to make as much impact as I want, I don't have enough power, I just think, in today's day and age, you can take that. I think there's just a knowledge gap right now. You can take what's yours, and you can go do something with it and take some action. So hopefully this was helpful. This is a little different than the videos I usually make, but I do think ultimately when it comes to inequality, I think becoming an entrepreneur and learning about ultimately what's going on in the world, because entrepreneurship forces you to understand kind of what's going on with politics, what's going on with business, what's happening around you, and then from there you can assess the situation, look at the data, and then decide to do what you want long term. But I think once you're able to kind of get going with business, set your long term vision, whatever your mission is, combine those two together, and I think you'll be good to go. So hopefully you enjoy this, and well, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Drop in the comments. Let me know what you think. Do you agree, disagree with me? And we will see you in the next video.